everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels. And folks, again, we are going back to the FDA Executive Summary for April the 24th, 2014. For those who are new to my channel, just in case you happen to come by, I have 377 people help a sister out. Anyways, this is in regards to the beginning of the hearings of the FDA to ban the GED for shock devices that are being used at the Judge Rotenberg Center to torture the disabled students there. If you want more of a reference, please take a look at some of my other videos, starting back with the Stop the Shocks campaign reignites and going forward. That is a particularly triggering video, and it does depict images of torture. So just want to get that out of the way. Now, before we go ahead and continue, just a few heads up. First of all, as always, this massive document you will be able to find a link to in the description, as well as the link to the Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down change.org petition. If you haven't already signed it, please do. I'm also going to link the very first video that kicked off this entire series so that you know what's going on and why all the flurries of these videos are happening. It's a difficult video to watch, but please do go ahead and watch it till the end. Now, folks, if I by chance happen to horribly butcher some of these scientific terms, or if I stumble over my over my words just like that during this video, I do ask for your forgiveness in advance. So, without further ado, back to where we left off yesterday. 5.3.8 Clinical Interviews. The FDA clinicians have interviewed 3 individuals who have received ESD, remember the acronym for electric skin shock devices, administration for adversive conditioning at the JRC. Now, this is going to be depicting and describing torture of children and adults with disabilities, folks. So if you have young children in the room, please, for the duration of this video, use your headphones. Individual 1. 2 FDA clinicians, a neuropsychologist and a psychiatrist, conducted a telephone interview with one of the individuals March 27, 2014. This individual reported being placed at the JRC residential facility, which used ESD for aversive conditioning on him from the age of 18 to the age of 21 for violent behavior, quote unquote. He reports that other treatments, negative and positive reinforcements, were attempted for a few months before the ESD was administered. He was placed on the GED-4 device. JRC described the stimulus as being like a bee sting, but he reported it felt much stronger than that, like 1,000 bees stinging you in the same place for a few seconds. He said that He said the trigger for receiving the stimulus was not only SIB, self-injurious behaviors, by the way, that's the acronym, aggressive behavior, but also for things like non-compliance with staff direction, talking too much, and being disruptive in class, things that normal students do on any given day. But we don't shock them, do we? Sorry, I lost my spot. The individual who did not feel that ESD was effective. It only made him fearful. In terms of AEs, he reported burns that lasted a few days, but no other long-term physical effects. He reported going on psychological effects to this day. With the device applied, he described being in constant fear and not having any idea of when one might be shocked or why. During that time, he experienced a general level of anxiety and fear. Currently, 5 years later, he said that he has panicky moments when reminded of the shocks, has general fear of being controlled, and a dislike of authority. He reported experiencing flashbacks but denied nightmares. He denied experiencing depression or suicidality. Blech. He also stated that his underlying condition was due to overmedication, and after he left the facility and was taken off all medications, the violent behavior went away. He is currently doing well, is living independently, and going back to school. He stated that ESD use is torture in the plainest sense of the word. It's basically administering pain and punishment. If you do not condone spanking, you can't condone this. Amen. Individual 2. The same two FDA clinicians, a neuropsychologist and a psychiatrist, conducted a telephone interview with a second individual, March 27, 2014. This individual suffered from noticeable congenitive disability, and the interview was limited by his difficulty with organization and attention. He reported that he was placed at the JRC, which employed ESD for aversive conditioning for 9 years, and over that period of time received multiple applications of the device. He noted that they tried other treatments, i.e., spanking, finger pinching, and rewards. Jesus. For about 6 months prior to initiating ESD use. He said he was on the GED2 device. They give you painful shocks, which he described as a bad bee sting. He reported getting shocks for non-SIB behaviors such as stealing things, destroying things, swearing, or nagging. He felt the device worked for his behaviors while he was on it, but then didn't work after they took it off. In terms of AEs, he said he got many burns on his skin, but no permanent marks or scars. While he was on the device, he was anxious and afraid that he was going to get shocked. He denied any long-term effects, nightmares, flashbacks, or other PTSD symptoms or depression. He is currently at a different residential facility that does not employ ESD and stated that his current treatment is helping to control symptoms as much as any other past treatment he has had. So, this is one of the examples that people like the JRC like to use. Say, see, he did well, and he's not having any long-term effects. Here's the thing, folks, about PTSD. It doesn't automatically occur right away. Sometimes it can hit years, maybe even several years later. So, just wanted to state that. Individual 3. A third individual was interviewed on 2 occasions, January 29, 2013, follow-up March 20, 2014, by FDA clinicians, neuropsychologist and psychiatrist, and internal medical physician. This young woman reported a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, tics, and repetitive behaviors. She had a long history of SIB. She entered a program at JRC that used ESD for aversive conditioning when she was in her early 20s and was treated with 2 types of devices, the GED3A and the GED4, over the 7-year period. As discussed above, the GED3A and GED4 are not FDA-cleared devices, and the GED4 a much higher output than the cleared GED device. She described the shock as being extremely painful and gauged the pain level of the GED3A as 5 to 8 out of 10, depending on the location of the shock, and the GED4 as 7, 8 out of 10. The device was applied to her arms, calves, and stomach. Later they were changed to her fingertips, bottom of her feet, and inner thigh, some of the most very sensitive parts on the human body. Staff moved the device electrodes to maximize pain. That's fucking sick. She noted that she felt she had high tolerance for pain, and also felt the GED4 stimulation was not necessarily more painful, but was more forceful. During that time, she estimated she received hundreds of shocks. Regarding the administration, she noted she did not know what behaviors would elicit a shock, and often she felt received shock for no reason. She also felt anxious and on guard. Sometimes if she knew she was going to receive a shock, she would go after the person who was going to administer the shock. As one does. I would. In terms of benefit, she feels that the device may have helped some individuals. She described these individuals as high functioning and able to stop the targeted behaviors if they wanted to. Not how that works, sweetheart. But in her case, she did not feel in control of her SIB, with urges that continued to build if they were not relieved. ESD use did decrease the SIB targeted behaviors, but did not address the underlying condition. Thank you! She said that she then found new and secret ways to injure herself. Eventually, she was able to transfer to a different facility that did not use aversive conditioning. She feels that the ESD treatment did not help her and, in fact, made her worse. Exactly. She said that the adverse effects of the treatment were never asked about, and she did not receive an appropriate medical examination during her time at the facility. As a result, ESD administration, she reported burns, scars, paresthesia, loss of sensation, numbness, muscle contraction spasms, pain, heart palpitations, seizure, anxiety, fear, depression, suicidality, nightmares, flashbacks, re experiencing symptoms, for example, the sound of Velcro, seeing a wallet being opened causes extreme anxiety. On one occasion, after receiving 7 administrations to the leg, she experienced paresthesia and loss of sensation numbness to the leg. She saw a neurologist after that who suggested a diagnosis of nerve damage, but did not recommend any further treatment. She notes that the symptoms lasted 1 year. She recalled that during her time at the facility, given overall treatment experience there, she became severely depressed, suicidal, thinking of ways to kill herself. She also notes that she developed PTSD symptoms of startle, hyperarousal, flashbacks, and nightmares which continue to the present time. Triggers for her symptoms include discharge of static electricity and sound of Velcro, which were used to hold the device in place. Currently, she is at a different residential facility and does not use ESDs. She reports feeling and functioning much better with her current treatment. She is functioning well and socially and holds a job. She said that ESD for adversive conditioning might seem like it was helpful to someone observing from the outside, but it's not a life that anyone would want to live. Amen. Just read was extremely horrifying. By far not the only stories like this coming out of the Judge Rotenberg Center. In fact, many stories are like this even before the GED devices came out that date all the way back to 1976, back when they were the BI and they were in California, which is why they are no longer in California. Oh my God. 5.3.9 reports from parents of patients administered ESDs for aversive conditioning. Oh boy, folks, if I rant, please excuse me. On January 18, 2018, attorneys for the Judge Rotenberg Center Parents Association, JRCPA, or the association, sent a letter to the CDRH Office of Compliance to describe the impact, from a parent's point of view, of eliminating access to the GED 3A or GED 4 from specific patients. I'm leaving this tomorrow, but I'm going to rant. Parents. It's not about you. It is not about you. That's what I have a problem with. All across the board, not just these parents that support this school of horrors, but all across the board. These me, goddamn martyr autism warrior mommies get on my last damn nerve, because never, when you talk to them, never, ever, ever is it about their child. It's always about them all the time. Their struggles, their pain, their suffering, what they must do, what their life is like. Yeah. It's me. me. Pity me. Feel sorry for me. I am my child's voice. Me, me, me. I. I'm. I'm. All the damn time. And what parents like this seem to forget is they aren't the ones that are being forced into ABA. They aren't the ones being forced into adversive therapy. They aren't the ones who are forced to have electrodes strapped to them and be shocked several periods of the day with a shock that is 10 times more powerful than a police taser. It is not them being strapped to a 4-point board and shocked over 31 times, in one case, even over 71 times. It's not them being pinched, slapped, spanked, face screened, amongst having their food deprivation, not being allowed to sleep. None of this is happening to them. But because they've drank the Kool-Aid and because this dangerous so-called treatment is making their child better, can't you see? Can't you see? No. No. Okay? No. Get over your damn selves. It's not about you. Your kid is being tortured. They're being abused. They are being bullied. They're being manipulated. They're being gaslit. They are being tortured with devices that we don't even allow our prisoners of war to be tortured with. And you do it all in the name of what best serves you. God, I hate those people. And when you say things like that, they come right back at people like me, like, but you wouldn't understand. You're not even a real autistic. You communicate. You have a YouTube channel. You're on social media. First of all, none of y'all knew me when I was a child. Some of those behaviors that y'all talk about that have been discussed in this FDA study, yeah, I manifested them when I was younger. The self-injurious behaviors, the repetitive talk, the nagging, inappropriate conversations and noises, inappropriate behavior to society in general. I did all of those things. And I had to work through quite a bit to get where I am now. And some behaviors that didn't even need to be removed, such as stimming, for example, or forcing myself to endure the pain open-eared of loud noises. Now, I can handle certain loud noises, metal being one of them. I find metal quite soothing. Yes, I know I'm weird. It actually calms me down. I can even listen to 2 different devices at once and have on many occasions, but there are certain sounds that do cause me a great deal of physical, complete, full-bodied pain to this day, and especially did when I was a child, and it would cause me to act out. I have learned to temper my behaviors since then. But some things, like hand flapping, or in my case, I do this weird little rock. Okay, I'm gonna demonstrate it for you because I actually got frustrated the other day towards the end of work, and I caught myself doing it. So, to embarrass myself, I was doing something that looks a little like this. Yeah, right there in my chair over there in the dining room. But yeah, we were your child at one point. That is why we are fighting so goddamn hard for them. Doing what you won't because you're too busy being focused on yourselves. Anyway, rant over. I will try to get through this tomorrow. I'm really glad this does not come during one of the times when I'm doing an early morning video, or I would have really lost my shit and just day ruined. That's all I got for this afternoon, folks. Now, before we go, come here in about a little bit in an hour, in a few minutes. We are going to be going live on this channel. We are going to have on here Phantasmagorical, Keely Talks, Gary, and Mr. Zod's Fandom Zone himself. It's open chat, folks. You know how it goes. You all make the decision. We can even spend an hour and a half waxing poetic on a fantastic rock that you found outside today. I know I've done it. Excuse me. So, please attend that. That's going to be 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be 11 p.m. UK time. And as always, folks, we don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed by YouTube. So please, folks, don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.